This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Janet is away this week. Residents in North Kildonan are on high alert after a second child was injured by a coyote just days after another attack in the same area. Both children were treated in hospital and released, but fear is mounting in the normally quiet neighborhood. CBC's Cameron McLean has the story.
This coyote and two pups were seen behind a house in northeast Winnipeg Sunday evening. This one was spotted near a neighborhood park 2 days earlier, around the same time and in the same area where a 4-year-old boy was attacked. Manitoba conservation officers, along with the Manitoba Trappers Association, are searching this field behind a church on Knowles Avenue. This is just blocks away from where two children were attacked by coyotes within less than a week. Steve Halliburgh lives a block away from where the latest attack happened.
You got to do something about it because they're getting bad here.
The 82-year-old says he's lived in his home for 50 years and he's never seen so many coyotes. He says one even recently followed him on his morning walk.
I would really have to go ahead and watch myself so I don't get mauled or thrown over.
A 9-year-old boy needed staples and stitches after being mauled by a coyote on June 24th. It happened about 100 meters from the latest attack. Richard Peters says he usually spots coyotes once or twice a week, but the recent attacks have him worried.
I have a 1 and 6-year-old, so that is kind of scary.
North Kildonan City Councillor Jeff Brouati has lived in the area his entire life and says the coyotes have only become a problem in recent years.
It does seem like the populations are growing, and I think, unfortunately, perhaps a bit of a cull is called for.
But one wildlife expert says as the city's population grows and development on the edges expands, encounters with wildlife will become more common.
Whether it's deer or coyotes or even larger carnivores in certain places or over time, perhaps. So we will have to find ways to coexist.
Halliburgh hopes conservation officers use non-lethal means of removing the coyotes.
They can either trap them or tranquilize them, take them away like they do with the bears and the rest of wildlife.
Manitoba Conservation would not say what it will do if officers catch coyotes in the area. The department says it's rare for coyotes to attack humans. Residents should remain vigilant by watching children closely and keeping pets on a leash. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A rural Manitoba store owner is fed up with a problem that's taking a bite out of her bottom line. Thefts have been on the rise at a Thai food and clothing shop in Gimli. Tourism drives many businesses in the community, and as CBC's Josh Crabb reports, the cost of stopping shoplifting is an ongoing concern.
At Thai Plaza on Gimli's busy lakefront business strip, you may find the front door locked, even though the store is open. Owner Sumali Panad has recently started limiting entry to 15 customers at one time, part of an effort to address what she calls a growing problem.
Every weekend we got some shoplifting.
Her shop, which has been located in the Lake Winnipeg community for the last 11 years, relies heavily on sales made during summer. But she says the annual boost in business during the busy tourist season has come this year with a spike in shoplifting.
Can happen every day, yeah, but this mostly is a weekend when we're really busy.
Shoplifting has been an ongoing problem for other stores as well. The fourth-generation owner of longtime Gimli merchant H.P. Turgeson and Sons, Stefan Turgeson, says he's found ways to reduce thefts but hasn't been able to stop them completely.
There's some are going to get away with it, but the big thing is stopping those repeat offenders that are coming around. But it's a tough job. That's why I spent an extra $13,000 upgrading my camera system this year.
That gives a better view of the entire store and evidence if someone is caught shoplifting. Turgeson says staff also greet customers when they come in.
One of the biggest things that we found, and it's been proven to reduce theft, is make contact with your customers. Eye contact, talk to them.
Back at Thai Plaza, shopper Penny Johansson worries thefts will drive up prices or, even worse, force businesses to shut down.
So they really rely heavily on the season, and if it's cut short because of theft, and it's shameful.
Panad has cameras, confronts suspected shoplifters, and makes reports to police.
I have to phone police to come because they're quite aggressive.
She wants to hire more staff to deal with the problem, but finding workers isn't easy and costs her more money. Josh Crabb, CBC News, Gimli.
A vacant house in North Point, Douglas, that was slated to be donated back to the community has gone up in flames. This home in the 100 block of Lisgar was one of 6 homes in the area that the province had seized as proceeds of crime. The plan was to donate these houses to nonprofits and Indigenous groups. Firefighters found this house, though, engulfed in flames on Saturday. The cause is under investigation. Well, some wildfire evacuees from Leaf Rapids say they feel like they've been hung out to dry without information or support. Nearly 400 residents are now in Thompson after a wildfire burned just 8 kilometers from the community last week. CBC's Brittany Greenslade joins us from Thompson now. Brittany, you've been speaking with some of the evacuees today. How are people feeling?
Riley, people here are beyond frustrated. It's been 1 week since they were forced to flee their home in Leaf Rapids because of those wildfires, and many say they were given no direction as to where they were supposed to go. There was nothing set up when they got here to Thompson. And it's that overwhelming lack of information that is bothering people the most. Now, it's been a difficult week for so many people. They only had an hour's notice and weren't able to leave with very much. Now, there's a bunch of issues that people here are bringing up. One is safety concerns. They say that they haven't been treated very well here in Thompson or at the hotels they're staying at. They also say that there's not a whole lot to do for the kids, and they fear that some of them might get into trouble. Now, they're also bringing up problems with conditions of the hotel rooms. Some say they're very dirty, they're messy, there's no support for elders who need medical attention. And they're also talking about the conditions in those rooms. They're saying that they're being told to collect their garbage in there and it's not being taken out for 4 to 5 days. Some are saying that there are 5, 6 people in one room at a time. And we spoke to one man who says their entire family was given just one towel that they were being told to use for the group of them. Now, since they got here, they have received checks to help buy food to help them get through the week, but there's been issues there. Some people say they either weren't able to cash those checks because they didn't have identification, whereas others say the banks were holding those funds for 4 to 5 days. So people here saying they don't feel supported, they're frustrated. Many of them just want to go home. And here's what some of those evacuees had to say today.
It's been terrible. It's been an absolute nightmare. One hand doesn't know what the other's doing. Stuck in a place like this, it's barely wheelchair accessible, like actually dangerous.
I know of a lot of families here with 7, 8 kids, and imagine wearing the same clothes for 4 to 5 days already. And some of them have been wearing their same clothes for 1 week. Yes, we got issued checks and everything else, but after getting those checks, the banks were holding them for 4 to 5 days.
The Leaf Rapids evacuation committee was actually formed by a group of evacuees who are doing their best to get information out to people as quickly as possible. They say that's difficult. Not everybody has devices or a way of communication, cell phones. So they're doing their best to go to the hotels, talk to people, hold meetings each night and let people know what's going on. But again, they feel like there's a lack of support. And here's what one woman had to say.
Here we thought, okay, in evacuation, the Canadian Red Cross is going to be there. It's going to greet people. We're going to have interpreters. We're going to have people, with language barriers, with cultural barriers, with mobility issues, with barriers, that they're all going to be accommodated. They're all going to be dealt with. We're going to be treated like human beings. But no, we're shuffled in like a herd of cattle and shuffled back out onto the pasture to fend for ourselves.
You can hear the frustration in people's voices, and they are at an all-time high here, Riley. People say they're going to be holding a rally at one of the hotels here, the Burntwood Hotel, at noon tomorrow, and are hoping people from surrounding communities will come out to support them. What they're really hoping for is answers.
All right, thank you, Brittany. I know you'll keep following the story for us. CBC's Brittany Greenslade in Thompson. And I can tell you that we've also heard from the province on this story. It says they have been working with Leaf Rapids and Thompson to coordinate the evacuation and communicate with the evacuees. The province says it is also helping provide checks and accommodations to those who have been forced out of the community. The Canadian family got a little bit bigger over the weekend. In Winnipeg, 42 people took their citizenship oath at a ceremony at Assiniboine Park on Canada Day. Here's what some of those new Canadians had to say.
Canada, our home and native land.
My name is Victor Ravina. I'm from the Philippines.
From far and wide.
I'm Angelica Ravina.
And fulfill my duties. As a Canadian citizen.
We're here, man. We're here. So it's a bless for us and Canadian dream. Yeah, there's some people who have a U.S. dream. Like for us, Canada is the best. Thank you so much.
I'm grateful. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Because Canada is a free country, free press. Everything is for the immigrants. Everything they equally. That's why I feel good and I'm lucky actually.
What does it mean to become Canadians?
It's exciting. It's exciting to be here and to be able to, develop on our potentials and be able to take advantage of what the environment offers us.
Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Meteorologist John Saunders here. Lovely Canada Day across much of the province, and you're saying that, July starting hot, but June was a hot one.
Yeah, and after that very hot weekend, today was a lot more comfortable. We'll talk about that, but some June stats are in, thanks to my friend Julian. Have a look at what a hot month of June it was. June 2023 stats, second warmest since 1872, the most humid since 1953. More on that in just a second. We're tied for the least windy with 5 others. So yeah, least windy when you take all those winds and factor them all in. Third smokiest since 1953. We had 32 hours in June that were considered smoky conditions. We had 9 days with a dew point over 20. So dew point, a good measure of how humid it feels, but over 20 is through the roof. 9 days, the previous record was 6 days, so we completely blew that out of the water. Yes, it was very warm. Took this picture last night, plenty of these floating around. This is mammatus, when you get moisture-laden pockets of air kind of bulging down from a thunderstorm cloud. It looks just like that, but tons of great examples of mammatus last night. 23 right now, shooting for a 26 today. Didn't quite get there. West winds 20 to 35. A westerly wind at the surface is typically a drier wind. So you see that dew point temperature was down at 9. We had a few clouds rolling through here today, but the focus today is in the north around that circulation. And that is a low pressure system in the upper levels that is pushing across northern Manitoba tonight and through the day into tomorrow morning. So by tomorrow, the low is actually heading east, but the rain is still wrapping around into northern Manitoba. Got a bit of a sunny start here across most of the south. Northwestern Ontario still in some cloud. But then as this low continues to move east, we see some breaks in the cloud in western sections of northern Manitoba and some occasional showers through the rest of the north. I don't think showers are in the cards here for southern Manitoba. Just a cloudy and rather cool day and breezy as well. But as we get it back into Wednesday and Thursday, we're looking at drier, clearer conditions, lots more sunshine, and we'll be looking at a warm up toward the end of the week. Tonight, bit of a full moon. Well, it really is a full moon, actually. Low of 13, 17 in the morning, and then tomorrow's high, well, temperature really doesn't go anywhere, just 18 degrees in the afternoon with a northwest wind at 30 to 40. Yes, it is a full supermoon tonight. It's called the buck moon because this is when the antlers of a male deer are kind of in their full growth mode. And the full moon is actually this morning at 6:38, but it rises at about 10:45 tonight. So have a look for that. After some morning showers in the west, we're looking at some clearing here, but occasional showers through the rest of northern Manitoba for tomorrow. In the south, southwest particularly, a few morning showers around Swan River, just cloudy and Dauphin. Mid-teens in the west, not bad in the southern Red River Valley tomorrow at 23. That's pretty close to seasonal. Steinbach at 22, but Winnipeg, Gimli just at 18. Some showers in Barons River, northwestern Ontario. Your showers are farther east in Fort Frances and in Dryden. Now, you may have seen some very old cars driving down Main Street and Portage Avenue late this afternoon on their way to the legislature. Well, it's called the Pine to Prairie Run, and I spoke with a couple of the organizers today about these restored relics and the route they're taking. Gordon Goldsboro, and we've got Don Wage, the owner of this classic car. Gordon, I'm going to start with you. These relic cars are quite something. Tell me a little bit about this group and the cars we're seeing today.
Well, there are 5 cars, the oldest of which is 100 years old, the youngest of which is 92, and we're driving across the province both to demonstrate the feasibility but also to raise money for the Manitoba Agricultural Museum.
Yeah, tell me about the Pine to Prairie Run. What's that all about? How long, how many days, and what you're raising money for?
Right, it's 545 kilometers from the Ontario border to the Saskatchewan border, so Pine to Prairie.
Yep.
Relic Run, of course, because it involves old cars. And we are following the original route of the Trans-Canada Highway. Not the nice straight road that it goes today. The winding road through, for example, the White Shell. And in fact, when we get out west, it'll be completely different than the present day route.
Okay, so today, where did you go today then?
Well, we started at West Hawk Lake. We followed up Highway 44 through Rennie, Whitemouth, then through Beausejour, Garzon, Lockport, and then down Main Street all the way into Winnipeg, and we're ending the day here today at the Legislative Building.
Now, Don, you own this 100-year-old, is it a Model T?
Model T Ford.
And tell me a little bit about this car. I imagine it wasn't screaming down the highway at 100 kilometers an hour.
Well, it did a little better than we expected. We actually started out at 50 kilometers an hour, which is about 31 miles an hour, and that was going pretty good, so I told Gordon to speed it up to 55, and it did okay at that. And then through one thing and another, got a little bit behind, so I had to catch up. I was actually doing 60 kilometers.
Wow, with maybe a bit of a tailwind?
Yes.
So what's the maintenance like? Is there a support vehicle, and what if you blow a tire?
That's right. We did bring one, but so far we've not needed it.
So there are extra tires for this thing?
Yeah, there are.
Well, that's fantastic. So tell me about the route tomorrow, Gordon. Where are you going tomorrow?
Well, from Winnipeg, we're going to Brandon, and we're going to go up the old Trans-Canada, which is now Highway 26, through St. Francis Xavier, Poplar Point, to Portage la Prairie. Then west, we're going to go south again through Sydney, Melbourne, and Carberry, back up to Brandon by the end of the day.
So everyone in those towns should be looking for these cars.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I expected to hear the "barrrrra," and I was not disappointed. It was
right.
Thank you, Gordon. Thank you, Don. Have a great trip tomorrow, and thanks for letting us know about this. It's really something special.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could your diet soda habit be putting you at increased risk for cancer? The World Health Organization could soon designate aspartame as a possible carcinogen, but what are the actual risks? We'll have that story coming up after the break. Well, some experts are slamming the World Health Organization over reports that it could designate aspartame as a possible carcinogen as early as this month. In other words, one of the most widely used artificial sweeteners in the world, something that you might put in your coffee or tea, to your diet colas, to some desserts and other foods and beverages, could cause cancer. But as Cam McIntosh shows us, the actual risk is far from clear.
Around these food trucks, no one's pretending these soft drinks are all that healthy.
Do I know this is terrible for me? Yes.
But cancer-causing? When it comes to drinks and foods with aspartame sweetener, the International Agency for Research on Cancer, part of the World Health Organization, reportedly will say potentially, calling for more study. Aspartame, which appears most commonly in diet soft drinks, was developed as an alternative to sugar in 1965. By 1981, it was approved for use in Canada. In the decades since, it's been under almost constant study. Over the years, there have been links to stroke, dementia, obesity, but it's kept the approval of global food safety regulators.
Aspartame I think, is somewhat the poster child for all things artificial and in terms of artificial sweeteners.
Nutrition professor David Ma has followed a lot of it. While he says it's a stretch to call aspartame healthy, most evidence suggests
risk is low because you'd have to be consuming an enormous amount of aspartame to cause injury to yourself.
We have more than 100 safety studies available to support its safety.
The soft drink industry, of course, is taking issue with all of this.
Agencies specifically charged at looking at food safety have evaluated aspartame many, many times and have consistently deemed it to be safe as a food ingredient.
Health Canada says it stands by its approval, but will review the WHO's findings. Meanwhile, classing aspartame a potential carcinogen deems its prolonged risk about the same as radio waves from mobile phones and less risky than red meat. Perhaps not all that persuasive, but says Ma, likely to spark even more research.
I think we'll continue to talk about aspartame and also many other types of artificial sweeteners.
Giving consumers something to sip on for years to come. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, overseas tonight, Israel has launched a major incursion in the occupied West Bank. Troops and drones have targeted the Jenin refugee camp. The raid began early this morning and is one of the biggest assaults in the West Bank in 20 years. The Israeli military says it's going after militant groups that have been planning and launching attacks against Israel. It's calling the assault a counter-terrorism effort. Palestinian health officials say at least 8 Palestinians have been killed and 50 wounded. Crews in the Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean region of Quebec are still searching for 2 people who were swept away in a landslide on Saturday. A man and woman, both in their 40s, remain missing. Officials say they are not from the area, which is about 260 kilometers northeast of Quebec City. Another man was also swept away, but he was rescued and taken to hospital. The landslide was triggered by heavy rain. About 200 people were forced from their homes, and helicopters rescued about 100 campers. I'll take a look at this as we head to break. A look at the drone show that closed out Canada Day celebrations at the Forks on Saturday. 100 drones flew about 120 meters up in the air and all lit up with LEDs. The theme of the display was inspired by the traditional teachings of a Pasquiac Cree Nation astronomer Wilfred Buck, who narrated this show. John's 7-day forecast is coming up.
So tomorrow is going to feel a lot cooler. A high of just 18, but northwest winds gusting to 40, and we'll see increasing cloud through the day. And then we start to warm up again. By Wednesday and Thursday, we're back into the 20s, 26 on Thursday, 27 Friday. Only a slight chance of a shower, a slightly higher chance on Saturday, and mid-20s over the weekend. One of the world's oldest giant pandas marked her 33rd birthday over the weekend.
Wow. There was a special celebration for Jin Jin at the zoo where she lives in Quebec City, Mexico City. That is our Daily Lift. So Jin Jin was treated to an apple cake and a colorful piñata filled with apples, which are her favorite food. Dozens of panda fans turned out and were served birthday cake by China's ambassador to Mexico. Jin Jin is the offspring of a pair of giant pandas that were presented to Mexico by China in 1975. Pandas normally live to be about 20 in the wild and 30 in captivity.
Yeah, so 33 is old.
Looking pretty good for 33, I might add.
33 is young to me, but
the new 29.
Not in pandas.
And that is our program for this evening. Thank you for being with us. We will be back at 11.
We'll see you
then.
Have
a wonderful evening.